Introduction. I awoke to the buzzing of my alarm, and the weatherman cheerfully announcing a beautiful spring day with temperatures in the mid-70s. But when I looked outside, the sky was gray and overcast with sunlight barely breaking through. Maybe the forecast was for another city or another country, as there are plenty of places named Boston around the world. My dismay with the weather report that morning was just the first in a series of disappointing events. My pantry was bare. No bagels, no eggs. I decided to drive to my favorite breakfast spot nearby and then do grocery shopping later. But when my car refused to start, I opted to walk to McDonald's located just a few blocks away. The sky darkened further and rain looked imminent. I went back upstairs to grab my umbrella. As I stepped into the elevator to head back down, I realized I'd forgotten my wallet. Back in my apartment, I checked all the usual places, including my desk, jacket, and backpack, but it was nowhere to be found. After a few minutes, I figured I must have left it in the car. As I turned to head back downstairs, I noticed someone walking past my door. I caught a glimpse of a red coat and the back of a black shoe. A woman, maybe. By the time I got to the hallway, she was gone. I concluded she had either gone into her apartment or taken the stairs. I took the elevator back to the garage. Sure enough, my wallet was sitting on the passenger seat. I remembered looking for my expired roadside assistance card, which I had forgotten to renew. What terrible luck. I would have to pay out of pocket to tow and fix my car. By then, it had started to drizzle. I opened my umbrella and began the short walk to McDonald's. The rain got heavier as I walked. The raindrops on my umbrella quickly brought about thoughts of my ex-girlfriend, with whom I had walked in the rain many times in the past. We would often walk together on Sundays, visiting nearby public parks or having picnics at the Arboretum across the river during the summer months. I reached into my back pockets to see if I had enough money to avoid using my credit card at McDonald's. In the midst of all the crumpled papers and receipts, I only found a few quarters and dimes. I also found a stub for the movie The Martian, dated back more than a couple of years ago in 2015. I had no idea how this old movie stub ended up there, but it brought a smile to my face. That movie had always inspired me. It is a testament to hope, grit, and human perseverance. I tucked the stub away with the rest of the change. When I looked up, I saw a woman in a red coat and black shoes in front of me. I thought she might be the same woman who had walked past my door earlier. This time I could clearly see that she was wearing a red coat and a red floral dress. Her umbrella shielded her face. I figured she might have just moved in next door. But then again, plenty of people in the city wear red coats and black shoes. I dismissed the thought. By then, I had reached McDonald's as the woman walked out of sight. I entered the McDonald's and noticed that there were long lines at all 3 cash registers. Moments later, the same woman in the red coat walked in. This time I saw her face. She was beautiful. She got in line next to me and hers moved faster than mine. The elderly man in front of me looked like he was ordering for his entire family tree. I didn't mind the wait. As she passed by, our eyes met. She smiled. I returned the smile briefly and then looked away. She held the door open for the elderly man as he left. There was something gentle in the way she did it. It didn't seem forced or performative. She looked genuinely happy to help.
"Sir, can I help you?"
The cashier repeated for the 3rd time. I snapped out of my trance, apologized to the cashier and the people behind me. I placed my order and walked outside. I glanced in the direction the woman had gone, but she was nowhere in sight. Outside the door, I saw a homeless man sitting nearby with a McDonald's bag beside him. I gave him the coins I had in my pocket. Walking back to my apartment, I couldn't help but think that she was gone for good. I could have left the line. I could have said something. But I didn't. I could not shake the feeling that I had let too many opportunities slip away. I realized I had set few real goals for myself, and that I was simply drifting along the well-beaten societal path in front of me. Just 5 months ago, my life looked so promising. I was excelling at a job I loved, and building a future with the woman I thought I would marry. Love, career, and stability seemed within my reach. Then it all unraveled. My girlfriend left me for Barry, a mutual friend I had introduced to her only a year earlier. Suddenly, the job I once loved and the promotion I had worked so hard for meant almost nothing. Every time I saw Barry at work, the pain and disappointment resurfaced anew. My girlfriend's betrayal shattered my self-esteem, eroded my confidence, and made me question everything I thought I knew about love and success. I used to believe success meant promotions, big paychecks, and proving I could provide for a family, and a way to attain the freedom to do the things I truly enjoyed. However, my success turned out to be a prison. I was afraid of losing everything, and so I worked longer and longer hours just to keep up. That's when I realized the proverbial rat race wasn't just something other people got trapped in. I found myself in its ranks the moment I stopped loving the work I once found meaningful. The job that once brought me peace of mind and a sense of accomplishment had become the very thing I hated most in the world. Money no longer mattered the way it once did. It provided a comfortable life, but comfort wasn't what I needed. I needed meaning. Perhaps Jesus was right when he said that man cannot live on bread alone. At 28, I felt like I was aging by the minute. I was exhausted, disillusioned, betrayed by Barry, by my girlfriend, and by the formula society had sold me for happiness and success. I moved through waves of sadness, nostalgia, anger, and self-doubt. I kept asking questions but found few satisfying answers. Why did Barry have to choose her, out of all the women in Boston? Why couldn't she see that my long hours were my way of securing our future? Why couldn't I move on, even after 5 months? Should I have proposed sooner? Was she afraid to marry me because I didn't spend enough quality time with her? Did I take her for granted? Had I been chasing the wrong goals all along? These thoughts were of no use now. It was too little, too late. When I finally reached my apartment building, I noticed that the lobby looked different. The lighting seemed softer, the furniture slightly rearranged, and a new painting hung on the wall. Surely, all of these changes couldn't have happened in the short time I had been out. Maybe the changes had been there all along, and I just never noticed. I had been drifting, barely conscious of the world around me. I kept reliving the pain, replaying conversations and moments, trying to understand what had gone wrong. My ex-girlfriend never gave me a clear or reasonable explanation for why she left, and that silence haunted me. I looked back on the 3 years we spent together and wondered if, despite the good memories, it had all been a failure on my part. If only I had seen it coming. If I had known it would end in betrayal, maybe I could have spared myself the heartbreak and used that time to find someone who truly wanted to stay. I knew I needed time to heal. I needed to figure out who I was and what I truly wanted. I had to stop drifting and reconnect with people. I thought back to the woman in the red coat. She was beautiful, and something about her had stirred something in me I had not felt in months. I could have spoken to her, but I let the opportunity slip away. In any event, I made my way into the elevators to go up to my apartment. I pressed 7 as I had done 1,000 times before. When the elevator opened, I walked out toward my apartment, but when I got to the door, it said 627 instead of 727. Instead of riding the elevator up one more floor, I decided to take the stairs. As I walked, I thought about what I would do the rest of the day. In the afternoon, I was going to play tennis with my coworker Brianna. As I turned the corner, I nearly collided with the same woman I saw at McDonald's.
Whoa.
Sorry. That was unexpected.
It's all right. That was you at McDonald's, right?
Yeah. I guess we keep running into each other.
Literally.
I'm Alex.
Sophia. Nice to officially meet you.
She told me she was staying in one of the building's corporate apartments for a short-term assignment. She was a marketing executive from Portland, Oregon, sent to Boston to work with a client. She had been here for 5.5 weeks and was flying back on Monday.
I was actually on my way to the store this morning when I saw the homeless man outside McDonald's. He looked hungry, so I bought him something to eat.
That was really kind of you.
It was the least I could do. He just looked like he hadn't eaten in days.
I saw the McDonald's bag when I gave him some change. I would have offered more if I'd had more on me.
Most people wouldn't have stopped.
Still, buying him a full meal actually made a difference.
I don't know about that. But thank you.
Instead of constantly running into each other, maybe we should actually plan to meet. Would you like to grab lunch later?
Is that a line you use on every woman you nearly knock over in a stairwell?
No, this is a first. I asked because we've crossed paths twice and it's not even noon yet. Feels like more than coincidence.
I actually already have lunch plans with a coworker today, and honestly I don't usually go out with someone I've just met. I don't really know you.
Fair enough. But maybe dinner could be a way to change that. Just a chance to talk, nothing more. She paused, eyes searching mine as if weighing something unspoken. Then she nodded.
Okay. I wouldn't mind some company for dinner.
Dinner sounds perfect. We said goodbye with plans to meet for dinner at my apartment. When I got back to my place, I ate the breakfast I had brought home and called Brianna to cancel our afternoon tennis match. I didn't offer much of an explanation, only that something had come up. The truth was, I was looking forward to seeing Sophia again. Instead of fixing my car like I had originally planned, I decided to get a haircut. Afterward, I cleaned the apartment, did laundry, and began preparing linguine fettuccine, my ex-girlfriend's favorite dish. I kept an eye on the clock as I moved around the kitchen. Sophia was due at 7 p.m., and I wanted everything to be ready on time. When I finally sat down on the couch to rest, my thoughts began to wander. I retraced the string of small, seemingly insignificant events that had brought me to Sophia, including my car refusing to start, the chance encounter at McDonald's, and the decision to take the stairs when I could have taken the elevator. I wondered if this could be the beginning of something meaningful, or if fate had simply placed us in each other's path for reasons I didn't yet understand. I've never been religious in the traditional sense, but as I sat there, I found myself wondering if something beyond me had nudged these moments into place. It all felt strangely intentional. The idea was hard to accept, but then again, it had been a strange day. From the inaccurate weather report to pressing the wrong elevator button, everything seemed too connected to dismiss as coincidence. Still, I set the thought aside. Maybe I was just reading too much into it. I got up and returned to the kitchen, trying to focus on something practical like not burning dinner. Sophia arrived at my apartment promptly at 7 p.m., and she looked absolutely stunning. Her presence filled the room with a quiet elegance that caught me off guard. She greeted me with a warm smile and quickly apologized, explaining that she'd been working non-stop in her apartment and could really use some fresh air. She asked if we could go out for dinner instead. I hesitated, mentioning that I had already cooked, hoping she might reconsider. But she insisted gently but firmly, and I eventually agreed. Just as we were about to leave, it hit me. My car was still out of commission. The excitement I'd been feeling gave way to a sudden wave of nervousness. I shifted awkwardly, unsure of what to say. She must have sensed it because she paused and looked at me with quiet concern.
Is something wrong?
I exhaled and admitted that my car wasn't working. I felt embarrassed, like I had failed some unspoken expectation. But she didn't blink.
That's no problem. I'll drive.
Her calmness disarmed my anxiety, and I felt strangely relieved. As we started the 10-minute drive to the restaurant, I couldn't shake my initial embarrassment about the car situation, but Sophia's warmth and easy conversation gradually settled my nerves. I was lost in thought when she turned to me and said,
"What's your story?"
Normally, I'm guarded when it comes to my personal life. But with her, it felt different. As strange as it was, I felt like I could tell her anything, even though we'd only just met. I opened up about my work, a demanding role as a project manager at a software company in Boston, handling high-profile clients and tight deadlines. She listened intently. Or maybe she was just focused on driving. Either way, I found myself enjoying her company more with each passing minute. When I asked about her life, she smiled and said it had been fulfilling. She spoke with a quiet confidence, explaining that she had managed to accomplish most of the major goals she'd set for herself. There was no arrogance in her voice. It was just a kind of calm satisfaction that intrigued me. Moments later, we arrived at the restaurant and were promptly escorted to our table. As we settled into our seats, I felt a growing sense of anticipation, not just for the meal, but for the chance to learn more about Sophia and the life she lived. There was something quietly compelling about her. The ease with which she spoke, the steadiness in her demeanor, stood in sharp contrast to the restlessness I had been feeling in my own life. Where her world seemed grounded and whole, mine still felt like it was trying to recover from collapse. She smiled gently and said,
"Actually, I'd really love to hear more about you and your life."
"Sure. What would you like to know?"
What's your fondest childhood memory? And what makes it stand out?
That's a great question. I haven't thought about that in a long time. Before I could continue, the waiter arrived to take our order. After he left, I said, "I think it was Christmas when I was 10. I really wanted this Captain America toy everyone was talking about. When I finally got it, I hugged my mom and dad because I was overwhelmed with gratitude."
Interesting. Whatever happened to that toy?
I must have lost it. I don't even remember how long I played with it after getting it.
Funny how something can feel like the most important thing in the world and then disappear.
Yeah. Makes you wonder how many moments we forget because we're always chasing the next thing. She nodded.
That's why I hold on to gratitude. It helps me stay present and to appreciate what's already in my life.
There was no lecture in her tone. Just lived experience. I nodded. Wow, that's fascinating. How did you come to possess so much wisdom? She glanced down at her napkin.
My husband and I talked a lot about things like that. About living deliberately. About what really matters. He and I fell in love, endured unimaginable loss, experienced joy, sorrow, and everything in between.
I paused and then asked gently, "You look so young. When did you get married?" I hesitated before continuing. "And why do you speak about your husband in the past tense?" Just then, the waiter arrived with our food, giving us a momentary reprieve. I shifted to lighter topics to ease the heaviness of my questions. Over our meal, we talked about her job, my family, and my own life experiences, including my breakup with my ex-girlfriend. Sophia was an exceptional listener, effortlessly steering the conversation toward me and my perspectives. Yet I found myself wanting to hear more about her life. I couldn't shake the sense that there was more to her story. The waiter returned to let us know the restaurant would close in 15 minutes. Neither of us had noticed the time. She paid the bill despite my protest.
I insisted on going out even after you cooked dinner. It's only fair.
I laughed. Next time I'll pay. Outside, it was still drizzling. I offered her my jacket to cover her head as we walked to the car.
Thanks for the great company.
Likewise, I replied. As we walked, I couldn't help but think about her husband. Who was he? Why wasn't he here now? I wondered why she called him the most important person in her life. Had he broken her heart like my girlfriend had broken mine?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. She gave me a knowing look.
You're heartbroken over your breakup.
You think so? She nodded gently. I sighed. I really loved her. I tried everything to make her happy, but I don't think it was mutual. At least not anymore. Her brow furrowed slightly.
Why do you say that? Were there signs?
If there were, I missed them.
I'm sorry you're going through this, but I hope you find a way to move on quickly. Life's too short to stay stuck in the past. I believe you should work your hardest to move past the pain, but work even harder to never forget the lesson.
I nodded slowly, absorbing her words. I haven't figured out what lesson I'm supposed to learn yet. She leaned in, her voice soft but firm.
When life is going well, you rarely think consciously about it, you're on autopilot. But when something bad happens, like losing a job or a loved one, it forces you to wake up. For you, it's your breakup. It's painful, but it can also be the start of something meaningful if you let it.
Her words settled heavily in my chest.
Another thing, love is rare. When you find it, you try to hold on to it with everything you have. Romantic love may feel like the highest form, but lasting love is something deeper. It is a conscious decision to keep loving someone, even after the excitement fades and life gets hard.
I stared at her, both impressed and curious. You sound like someone who's been through a lot. You sound like a spiritual guru.
I'm not. But I understand why people turn to spirituality for answers to life's hardest questions. When we feel isolated, it helps to connect with others who've been there or with something greater than ourselves. Looking back, what do you think caused the breakup?
I'm not sure. I bought her gifts, planned trips, and tried to make her happy. But I was working a lot, especially during project launches. That's something she complained about. I admitted. She nodded.
Sounds like you were trying really hard. Still, it's good to look back. There's always something to learn.
Good point.
In my experience, the best thing you can do in a relationship is focus on being someone worthy of love. You can't control your partner's feelings, but you can control how much effort you put into being your best self. Too often people try to fix their partners. That rarely works. Look inward, and you'll have a better chance at building something lasting.
Her words struck a nerve. I think I relied on her for my happiness. My self-worth was tied to the relationship, and now I feel lost. She nodded thoughtfully.
It's good you're realizing this now. Self-awareness is the first step.
How do you see it all so clearly? I asked in amazement. She laughed softly.
My husband and I spent years thinking about this stuff. We even started writing a book about living a meaningful life.
Really?
Yes.
With a nostalgic smile.
We never finished the manuscript, though.
I could use some wisdom like that, given the situation I am in. I would love to read it. Do you mind? I said, genuinely intrigued. She paused and thought for a moment and then said,
I suppose I can let you read it, but it is a precious document. You'd need to take great care of it.
I will, I said. When we arrived back at the apartment complex, she turned to me.
Think about what we talked about. Maybe next time we meet, you can tell me what you think caused the breakup.
I hesitated. But when will I see you again? I thought you were only here for a couple more days. She smiled.
I have a big presentation to prepare for on Monday. If I finish early, I'll stop by. Dinner with you was a welcome break from preparing for my presentation, and it was delightful to get to know you.
I grinned. Likewise. Anything I can do to help you finish preparing faster? She laughed, shaking her head.
I'll keep that in mind.
She invited me into her apartment, and I took a seat on the couch. The room was warm and inviting, with soft lighting and family photos arranged beside a table lamp. One picture in particular caught my eye, a man in his 30s by my estimation. Moments later, she returned with the manuscript and a photo album. Is that your husband? I asked, gesturing toward the photo. She glanced at it, her expression softening.
Yes. That was taken 7 years before he passed away.
I'm so sorry, I said quietly. He must have been young.
He was 33.
Her voice barely above a whisper.
He died far too young. And even after 6 years, I still haven't let myself love again. Some part of me is still holding on to the pain.
Her gaze lingered on the photo, and I could see a hint of sadness flicker across her face, though she quickly masked it. Sensing the weight of the moment, I hesitated before asking, "Do you mind if I ask how he passed?" I lowered my voice, unsure whether I was crossing a line. Before she could respond, I added, "I'm sorry for asking so many questions. If it's too personal, you don't have to answer." She looked at me and gave a reassuring nod.
It's okay. You can ask anything.
I nodded, grateful for her openness. Hoping to ease the mood, I gestured to the manuscript she was holding. "Is this the manuscript?" She smiled faintly and looked down at it.
Yes. It's called Realities of Life.
Her fingers brushing the cover gently.
He wanted to write it in order to share the lessons he learned and the insights we gathered together. He believed it would help our children understand the world better, but he never fully experienced fatherhood the way he had hoped.
Her voice grew quieter as she continued.
I believe there's wisdom in it for anyone willing to read it.
Her gaze lingered on the manuscript.
Every time I read it, it's like he's still speaking to me, guiding me.
I could feel the weight of her words. A longing for the life they never got to live. "That sounds really powerful," I said softly. She handed me the manuscript, her fingers lingering on the cover for a moment before letting go.
I want you to read it. You have until Monday.
Her tone serious but gentle.
I'm leaving for Portland, Oregon Monday afternoon, so I need it back by then.
I glanced at the manuscript in my hands, weighing the request. "Is there another way to get a copy?" I asked, unsure if I could do it justice in such a short time. She shook her head.
It's just this one copy.
She paused, eyeing me carefully.
It's important that you read it, really read it before Monday. There's no time to waste.
I opened the manuscript and glanced at the first chapter. The small font and the 296 pages made me feel a bit daunted, but I said, I should be able to get through it. It's only Saturday night, after all. I smiled, trying to lighten the mood. If you take a break from preparing your presentation, maybe we can talk more. I'd love to discuss the manuscript with you. She smiled but shook her head.
I don't think I'll have time to hang out. I need all the hours I can get to finish and practice my presentation. You also need as much time as possible to read the manuscript.
Her smile faded into something more serious.
I'll see you on Monday and make sure you return it by 5 p.m. before I head to the airport.
Feeling a little disappointed but understanding, I nodded. Of course. I'll have it back by then. I left her apartment and made my way back to mine, but as I walked, something nagged at me. I realized that Sophia never told me what caused her husband's death. I wanted to ask, but I couldn't bring myself to go back. So, I decided to let it go for now. Back in my apartment, I took off my jacket and turned on my table lamp. The manuscript lay in front of me, heavy with meaning, and I hesitated, unsure if I was ready to immerse myself in its depth. I flipped through to the preface, then the first chapter. The words on the pages seemed to pulse with the life her husband had lived, the one he had hoped to pass on to anyone looking to lead a meaningful life. I couldn't help but feel like I was stepping into a world I didn't fully understand, but one I needed to explore. The manuscript, with all its wisdom, was her last connection to her husband. And now it was mine too. I took a breath, turned to the first chapter and began to read.